Okay, welcome to Zoom to TBT by Charge and Hayner, sponsored by the Dunk Camp. And tonight we're doing a special bonus episode with our first TBT bracketology of the season. Charge, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing tonight, Hayner? Appreciate you joining me and putting this project together for Bracketology TBT 2020. Just a few ground rules before we get started, some caveats. This is for fun. We just want to generate some dialogue and discussion around TBT 2020. So after you guys watch the video, feel free to comment and have some good hearty conversation. Just a couple other things. We're not the selection committee,
We're not yet the selection committee.
Like I say, if you guys want to invite us in, absolutely invite us in. We'd love to do it. The information tonight is based on the best information available. As you guys seen on Twitter, just even the past couple of days, teams are coming in, players are coming in. Still some uncertainty with COVID and the format. So everything we're going to talk about tonight is based on the original 64 and what we know on the website as it stands. A little bit about the rankings. We're going to be ranking them not only on talent, but, fan base and reliability as well. When we think about fan base, not just what's on the website, who's got the most fan votes, but watchability. When you think about the Boeheim's Armies of the world and the Carmen's Crews of the world, that's a critical piece of TBT. So you may see some alumni teams, you're like, why are they ranked over so-and-so? That could be some of it because of their fan base and the reliability factors that go in there. And last but certainly not least is the ranks you're seeing tonight are blended Charge and Hayner ranks. And this is where it's going to get wild on a couple of the slides.
There are some disagreements.
To say the least. But, enjoy it. You'll see the blended tonight. And in the next few days, we'll be sharing bracket by bracket out on our social media platforms as well. So whether to, criticize Hayner for his horrible picks or obviously shoot me a note about how wonderful my picks are. So we'll be sharing those with you guys as we go.
You're such an asshole. By the way, though, seriously, one last thing to remember, too, 64 teams. There's over 100 applicants. There's a lot of great teams. So if you see your team on the bubble or not in, it's not a disrespect thing. It's is this one of the more loaded fields you've seen even under the conditions? It's loaded. Right, Charge? It's loaded. It's a loaded field.
No, absolutely. You're almost already up to the number of teams that applied to last year, and I think what we're seeing is the talent level is absolutely higher than it has been in the past as well. Everyone keeps raising the bar when Overseas Elite set the standard with their four-peat and Carmen's Crew taking them down and winning it last year. The bar has been raised considerably on the tournament, and can't wait to dig in and talk about some of the players and the teams today.
With that word, let's do it. I'm going to share it up now. Okay, so getting right into the bracketology. Let's get to those brackets we were talking about. Okay, so first of all, let's go through the regions. So first of all, on the first weekend, you've got the Columbus Regional, the Jackson Regional, my home state of Tennessee, Las Vegas, a place I would love to be at again, and the wonderful place of West Virginia. And Charge, what's happening on the second weekend?
On the second weekend, we're going to have fabulous Florida. We're going to have Boeheim's Army leading that Syracuse team. We're going to the nation's capital, D.C., and, of course, Wichita. Big outing last year, and they're ready to do it again this year.
And Charge, where does this nice little festival of hoops end?
This ends in wonderful Dayton, Ohio for championship week, and just a short drive from Northeast Ohio down, so everything permitting and everything works out. Love to hopefully taking some games this year down in wonderful Dayton.
Yeah, shout out to the Red Scare for being one of our guests this last week. They gave a great interview. Okay, so let's get to, first of all, let's talk about the overall number one seeds, because this regional thing is really interesting, and you have some really great teams. Let's go region by region. In Columbus, Charge, you've got Columbus, you got Carmen's Crew in Columbus, the defending champs. Some thoughts there?
Yeah, obviously, to beat a man, you got to beat the man. And Columbus, Carmen's Crew is a no-brainer here. Took down Overseas Elite after their amazing run. Stiff competition.
What a great game. What a great game.
Yeah, amazing game. Teams like Marquette. And so they're battle-tested. They bring back MVP William Buford to the team. Aaron Kraft in what might be his last run into TBT before he heads out to medical school.
Which I guess he will have trouble getting into, apparently. Shout out again to Red Scare.
This is just going to be an amazing team to watch, amazing story to watch. And then they added, hopefully some youth. They got a couple players to announce, but they're going to be solid and well-deserved as number one seed in Columbus.
Yeah, having a host, that's great. Okay, my home state of Jackson, right an hour outside of my hometown of Memphis, Tennessee, and your number one seed is, and I absolutely hate to read a Tennessee team, the Volunteers of Tennessee. This pains me so much. Charge, why am I crying?
Yeah, no, these guys are solid top to bottom. When you look on the website for TBT and you look at their experience, it is through the roof for the guys they have on the team and how deep they are. It's a true alumni team. They're going to be real cohesive, real solid, and I see no reason why they can't run the table up there in Jackson.
I mean, there's always the reason that Tennessee teams never go deep in the tournament. Hey, okay. To wonderful Sin City, Las Vegas, which might be our most competitive region, but leading off is Team Washington, newcomers to the game. Charge, why are they so loaded?
Team Washington's going to bring a lot of experience. So this is one you got Tony Roten, you got Justin Dentman, and these guys just know how to win. They know how to score. And I've seen on their Twitter recently they're teasing Crawford, maybe Robinson, maybe. So who knows who else shows up for this team? But I'm sure that's just some teasers. But this team, just led by Roten and Dentman, we're going to see them go very deep and should take the Vegas regional.
Dude, Nate the Great, what a great guy to have. Beautiful country roads of West Virginia. This is an easy one. You got Best Virginia. I mean, that might have been the easiest call on the board for a 1 seed. Charge. Why was it so easy?
Yeah, just so easy. Even though they didn't advance as far as they would have liked to last year, West Virginia, obviously with Kevin Jones leading the way there, just a lot of camaraderie there. You see it in their Final Four podcast. These guys play together. They're truly one of these teams that they're not only alumni, they're friends. They're going to be playing together. They added Daxter Miles, which I think is a great pickup. And I saw this guy scorch the Charge last year and scored 29 points in 20 minutes in a game against the Charge in a phenomenal effort. So I think that's a great add, and we'll see the rest of their roster coming together. But yeah, no brainer out there in West Virginia.
Charge, you're such a goddamn nerd about this stuff. I swear. How do you know this crap? Okay, looking at the Florida regional, this was interesting because this was the one really major disagreement we had, and it's because it's such a tough region. But we ended up going with the Florida TNT. Charge, what's up here?
Yeah, this was not tough for me. It's Florida TNT all the way. I mean, it would take me a whole show just to kind of walk through the talent that they have on this team.
They are loaded. They're absolutely loaded.
When you're looking at Kuhn Purcell, Blakeney, I've got a good vibe that Blakeney's going to lead the TBT in scoring this year. The guy can just score. You got Warren. And they're going to be adding a new player here, hopefully in the next day or two. That's going to blow some people's minds. It's going to be a nice pickup, and they're just too deep, too organized. They're going to be practicing starting tomorrow, and so this team's going to be ready, and they're going to, have they'll be in game shape, ready to go. So I see these guys going very deep, not just the number 1 seed, but very deep in this thing.
It's really interesting, too, because adding McGee, I mean, he's got range literally when he steps in the state of Florida. I mean, he shoots threes so easily to provide spacing for those guys that can just run and gun. They're going to be a great team. I mean, they're going to be very, very dangerous. So my girlfriend will be happy. This might be the easiest call, most obvious one, Syracuse. It's going to be Boeheim's Army. I mean, they were the 1 seed last year. They're 1 seed often. They often perform to seed 2, and they're usually pretty loaded. What can guys expect to see with the Army this year, you think?
Yeah, I think with Boeheim, obviously the GM up there, Kevin Belby, does a fantastic job year in, year out. This is a team that they're locked for the Sweet 16 every year. They've made a Final Four appearance, and this year looks to be the year that they put it all together one last time. They're adding Leiden, they're adding Malachi Richardson. They're adding some, tried and true like Diefendorf obviously is going to be there, and so there's still a lot of their roster to be revealed. But every indication points to Boeheim's Army once again making a deep run.
Adding 2 NBA guys like Leiden and Richardson, so great. And it's funny, too. And by the way, Kevin Belby was a great interview. We'll be releasing his on Friday, so definitely come by and stop by our Twitter account to see that. But Belby does a great job, and they have a loaded roster to go from. Now, Washington, D.C. is interesting because it's a kind of an interesting region, and we kind of settled on, obviously, Team Hines with the Euro pros. You got guys like Kalithas. You got guys like, obviously, the namesake Hines. Like, Charge, why are they so dangerous?
Yeah, and it's assumedly some of those guys you mentioned, and these are some of these overseas professionals that could easily be on an NBA roster, and so we're kind of making the assumption that the same Hines team from last year in some form or fashion is going to show up this year, and they made it to the Final Four last year, but once again they're getting some of the best of the best, just like overseas elite get some of the best overseas and EuroLeague players, and no reason if they come back with the same team they can't make that same run again.
No, absolutely. They're going to be very, very, very tough to beat. And rounding up our regions, and this is actually one that we both like, and this is a team that's just they're nice guys, and it's fun to see them have a high thing. We think Iowa United's the one seed. I mean, they've been on the pod before; they do a great job. Why is it so easy to get these four alumni groups together and field a cohesive team? Like, what do they have going on, George?
Yeah, I think that starts with the top, with the general manager here, and this one here was probably the toughest of all the regions to pick a number one because you've got Iowa, you've got the Stillwater Stars, you've got Wichita, obviously.
Loaded region,
This
loaded
one's
region.
really top heavy on here, but I thought what differentiated Iowa United is what we know about them from an organization standpoint. They've got a great program together. They're going to get their guys able to show up. I think adding Garrett to McGee is just an incredible 1-2 punch, and they scored in buckets back in 2017 together. But it just keeps rolling from there with Joke. Dom's a solid add, and they have great role players behind it. I just think they're going to be one of those teams that not only showing up with talent, but they're going to be prepared more than some of the other folks. And they have the experience. They learned from last year. They knew what they had to fill, and they know how to move going forward.
Yeah, it's interesting too. So that kind of calls up the experience in the organization. I mean, what's interesting about this is the talent among all 64 teams we've picked, and also some of those we didn't even pick. The talent is universally great across the board. That organization really does give the Iowa United a great chance to go deep in this tournament because they're so cohesive. So, Charge, looking at this field, by the way, these are some great one seeds. Like, who do you have as your overall number one? Like the top of the top?
Yeah, right now I like Bayheim's. It's just one of those ones. Their consistency through the years. I mean, this is going to be their sixth year. They've been in every year except the inaugural season, and every year they put together a team that is going to get you to the round of 16. They've been to the Final Four, and I just think this team's going to be very well thought out. I wish I knew their full roster at the time of this release to help justify my take on the number one overall seed a little bit
They'll be
more.
loaded. They'll be loaded. Don't worry about it.
But I just really like the ads of Richardson and Leiden to start them off, bringing back some of their core guys that played well together in 2 seasons ago TBT, and so whoever they add is just going to complement this nicely, and I just think they're going to be good enough and deep enough to make that nice run.
I mean, that's an obvious pick because they've got a great team every year, and adding guys like Lyden and Richardson to an already elite team is going to make Boeheim's Army so absolutely damn dangerous. I'm going to go a little bit different though, just because like they're the defending champs. You got to take it from them. I mean, Carmen's crew has earned that number one seed. They've always gone deep in the appearances. They're going to be hosting a regional, which means they're going to be playing at home. They are the defending champs. You got to give it to them. I mean, I think Boeheim with the added talent is definitely a contender for all number one. I don't think it's a bad pick. I'm also looking at the loaded roster in Tennessee. I mean, I absolutely hate the Volunteers so very much, but even I admit that is an insanely talented roster. The only reason I wouldn't pick the Volunteers as number one is that first-year teams in TBT have this tendency to flame out despite talents. They never played in the format. They never played with the teams. And they usually get hit in the mouth and don't quite respond as well. So, like, I think talent-wise, the Volunteers are right up there. But I got to go with Carmen's because they've proven it. Let's get a little mean now. And by the way, let's be clear. These are all great teams, but of these elite of elite, who do you have as the softest one? Let's be clear. They're all great. So you're not insulting anybody. These are all absolute baller teams, but Charge, who's your softest one?
Yeah, before I talk about the softest, I was never so wrong about Carmen's crew last year. I totally missed on them, and that's going to be one of the knocks on Carbon Crew this year is just some of the age of the guys. I know they're going to have some more roster announcements coming. They're adding Dallas Lauderdale back, but we've yet to see the youth on them. So I think, maybe I was just a year too early saying that they weren't going to make a run to the finals. So, I got to eat crow on that one. And then aside from them, I think Team Hines, until I see a roster where we're kind of in a holding pattern there. So,
Yeah,
but overall, like
that's
you
fair.
said, there's not a bad team in these 8. And as we walk through and look at the 32 later, this is just a deep field and, going to be a lot of competitors out there.
Yeah, I mean, like with the understanding that these are all elite teams, so I'm not insulting anybody. These are great teams across the board. Every one of these could get that $2 million bag. So I'm not saying an insult, but I think TNT might be the softest. The talent's clear. I mean, the talent is absolutely there, but they don't have the pedigree of some of those other teams because they don't have like you see a lot of alumni teams. A lot of teams play there. They're the one non-alumni team, and also they're also I think maybe not even the one seed in the region because this is the one we just agreed about. And by the way, I want to be very clear. TNT is an incredible team. And if they win the whole thing, it's not an upset. But I would say if you pick a softest one, it's probably, to me, TNT. And that's not an insult. They're an absolutely incredible team. So we're picking best of the best, obviously. By the way, the lowest one seed, if they win, they still call them, right? Millionaires. That's what they call them. They call them guys that got cash. Now, before we get into the bracket specifically, there's teams of unknown status. Like, what makes this so weird is if you guys have all watched bracketology shows or selection shows on CBS, you'll see a lot of the time the teams are known. There's 350 something or 340 D1 teams. Teams get announced late. For example, we just found out today, Team Heartfire, Charge, they look loaded, right? Baylor, Quincy Miller, Isaiah Austin, they're great, right? They're a great team.
Yeah, absolutely. Just came out of nowhere. We got teams like that. We got that team B more that's got
Yeah.
Walt Lehman and Jacob Poland just out of nowhere. So there's going to be some
Oh, yeah,
teams
they
that
had
we just
Pullen.
don't know enough about yet.
Yeah. I mean, so it's a moving target. So this is a good time to mention teams that, like, we just had a team like Team Heartfire. They added Pullen. I forgot about that. Crap, they're going to be loaded too. So some teams are just adding that they're going to kind of make a screw. But let's talk about some teams that are some old favorites. We got to start with the four-time champ overseas elite. We don't know if OE is playing again. They're obviously loaded. They obviously, if they come in despite their loss last year, I assume if they come in, they're still the favorite. I mean, because you don't win 4 in a row and get that kind of respect. So they're an automatic 1 seed, an automatic get if they get in, but they have not declared yet. Charge, what about these teams?
Yeah, so we haven't heard too much on Marquette, the Golden Eagles, or Colorado yet. Both are rumored to be highly likely to be in, but it sounds like they're waiting to see how everything plays out. A lot of uncertainty, as we all know, but these two teams are expected to be in, and obviously that will shake things up a little bit depending on where they land and where they want to compete this season.
Yeah, I mean, the Golden Eagles, I just want to see Diner smash some more beer cans on his head basically after shooting threes. Guy drinks a 6-pack and shoots threes. I love the guy. By the way, those Eagles teams as a Memphis fan just tortured us. I mean, Diner just tortured us. Just tortured us. Now, some other high-level teams, Charge, that would be interesting additions we haven't heard from. You want to talk about them briefly?
Yeah, Ram Nation, I believe they're going to be out this year. The GM who ran that team last year, I believe he was already communicated at the tail end of last year. He was going to take a year off, possibly coming up with a new team, but I haven't seen anything on Ram Nation, so I'm not expecting them to play. Team CP3, same thing, no new news, but Team Fredette should be the interesting one. I've got a feeling that they're going to come back, possibly under a rebranded team, one of these top teams that just kind of slide in at the end and shock the world a little bit. So I'd be watching for some of the core guys from Team Fredette to surface in the near future.
Yeah, before we go off this slide, I want to talk a little bit about CP3 too. Obviously, he helped get the Elam ending. Shout out to Mr. Elam, obviously, into the All-Star game, which to a great result. That was really cool. So I think it's great that they've expanded that. Having CP3 in the corner of the TBT was a great thing, and hopefully continues. Now, we talk about the elite teams. There's also a bunch of alumni teams at the bottom here. Loyalty Love isn't an alumni team, actually, but like Self-Made, Purple and Black, Sons of Westwood, the Bluegrass Boys, Bluff City, my own Memphis Tigers, obviously. The Badgers, talking a little bit about St. Mary's. There's some great alumni teams that haven't gotten together this year, and they kind of come and go. But I mean, UCLA, Kentucky, Memphis, Kansas State, Kansas, Wisconsin, they've all fielded teams we haven't heard about yet. So I think these teams, they can get the rosters that obviously have a chance to get in because loyalty to alumni fan bases is always huge. And a lot of these teams have gone deep, or Memphis's team has gotten, good seeds and not going deep. A lot of these teams have been contenders, though. So having them in here would help the tournament. So if they come back in, that would affect our seeding.
Yeah,
Last thoughts
absolutely.
here, Charge.
Yeah, on the balance of alumni teams, I think Cold Blooded is probably going to be out. My guys from Mid American Unity ran them off the court last year, and
Ooh, that's
had to
cold.
be packing. But I think the thing here, we're seeing some of these guys head on over to Big X right now. So I'm not anticipating them, and the rest of the buzz on the other teams has been really light, if at all. So I think these are keep your eyes on, but I'm not anticipating anything additional from those guys.
So we've got the 1 seed, so we have the pending team. So when we come back, we'll go ahead and get straight to the region, starting with Columbus. This is Zoom the TBT, presented by Charge and Hayner.